Beijing has purged two top military leaders, the latest in a series of investigations. It's leading analysts to question the stability of the party. But what does all this mean for a Taiwan contingency, and how should the U.S. evaluate and handle relations with China? Joining us now to unpack what all of this means is Steve Yates, Senior Research Fellow for China and National Security Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Now, diving straight in, how are you reading these latest investigations into two of the country's most senior military figures? What does that tell you about the state of the party?
Well, I have a number of friends who've served for many, many years watching this very, very closely, and all of them say that this is unprecedented. At the same time, it really doesn't change a lot of the choices the U.S. government has to make about what they're going to have to respond to or necessarily tell us what China will do. Ultimately, we look at China being run by Xi Jinping, and this purge of the military under normal circumstances would be dramatic. You'd think it would take a contingency in the Taiwan Straits off the table, but you just can't take anything off the table with Xi Jinping. So unfortunately, it gives us a lot to watch, a lot to try to analyze and unpack. And I would bet that the NTD audience has as good information as anybody about this. But unfortunately, we still have a powerful government that could be irresponsible at any time. And they have these trials and tribulations in the military leadership that are going to continue. I mean, as you noted in the intro, this is not the first. They were barely left with anybody at the top of the Central Military Commission at this point. So we'll have to see where they go politically.
And given these latest purges, some analysts are wondering about the stability of the party apparatus inside Beijing, because this also follows recent CIA recruitment videos in Chinese, seeking those in the country to come forward with information. In your view, how stable is the party right now? Or is there a sense of distrust maybe among the party elite?
Yeah, I don't think that the party is that stable. Unfortunately, though, I also have a dim view that unstable and ineffective parties in these authoritarian regimes can linger way too long. The searing experience of my lifetime was the North Korean regime in the 1990s, pronounced dead by nearly every intelligence service and diplomatic service in the world, and it's still very much around today. And so I think we have to be cautious about how close it is. And we've had a recent experience with Iran, where there's widespread demonstrations and the regime looks to be on the ropes. It could still be on the ropes. In fact, I hope it is, because it's a terrible regime that I hope ends for the sake of the Iranian people. We have a similar situation with China, where if the economy is shrinking, they're an export-dependent economy, and if they're playing dangerous games with the United States, playing political games with countries like Canada, and their economic drivers for low energy, like Iran and Venezuela, are getting affected. And if Russia is not a driving engine of growth or opportunity, where do they turn to have confidence? So I think that their options have actually gotten worse. But unfortunately, when you have bloody regimes, they don't have to have only good options before they're willing to take risks. And that is just where we are.